Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. It's Snapshot 20w48a. We've obviously got some new features to check out, but I'm starting off this episode by letting you know there's some Minecraft news going down at the moment. I made a video about it on my second channel. You see, Mojang and Microsoft are implementing some universal moderating to make the platform safer and friendlier for people. And this is taking place on some realms, some featured servers, I believe within the Bedrock branch of the game. That means like mobile and the different consoles. And you should really go check that video out. I think it's important that the community is informed, but also not to overreact. I think they need to clarify more details with us, but it's a very interesting topic. I recommend listening to that video and not jumping to any conclusions here. But yeah, wanted to keep you informed, and now we'll crack on with the snapshot. So first of all, we're going to check out changes to the bundle, and this has inspired me with a little suggestion as well I think you're really going to like. The first thing is that you can right-click when holding the bundle to throw all the items out onto the ground. That's a pretty cool way to empty them, because you can throw them into trash, or you can pick them up, or maybe even just throw them into your sorting system, right? But I also reckon it'd be really cool if there was functionality for holding a bundle when you then pick up the items and those go into the bundle. That would be absolutely superb. Now, the other piece of functionality that's been added is the ability to right-click inside of the inventory and deposit a block. As you can see, when we pick these back up, the ones that come out are first in the list. And as you saw there, 2 came out at once. So if you've got a pile of 16, all of those are going to come out at the same time. And I think that's really cool functionality. You can also see exactly how many items are in this by using F3 and H, which brings up advanced tooltips. Now, this is something I actually use a lot. It shows you additional information like the MBT tag and the name of the item. And now it will show you the fullness. So you can put 64 items in a bundle, and it shows us that we got 30 inside of that one. And so if you want to play with that on, it is F3 and H. Those are the buttons that you press to put advanced tooltips on. So we have changes to candles, and it doesn't sound too good, but don't be alarmed. We're not going to lose any of our ability to create really cool details like this. This is the sword in the stone, and we'll still be able to make floating candles just like these ones over here. The change is that you can't put them on blocks that are essentially not a full block. So I'll place down this chest over here, and you'll see that I can't put the candles on top of it. Cobweb is another interesting one that you can't put the candle on. The enchanting table, basically ones that don't have a full hitbox. Now if we go over to like the fence gate and the fence post and try and put them on top of that, you'll see it's okay. And then when you remove this block, they're still able to float and stay where they are. So we'll still have the same functionality in terms of creating decorations. It'll just be a little bit more finicky to put together. We also have a change to Snowier Snow. You can see that I'm taking some freezing damage. If I put on any leather armor at all, you can see that that effect is removed entirely. Just by wearing leather armor, I'm not going to take damage. If I take it off though, as you'll see, the freezing effect is reapplied. Even though it was on the screen, that's probably a bug. And so after like 15 seconds or so, you'll start taking damage again. There is also a new game rule as well called freeze damage. So if we set this to false and then go and stand inside of the snow bucket, you can see again the effect appears on the screen, but it won't cause us to take any damage. You can now disable this form of damage with a game rule. And look at that, it even gives you the frosty hearts, but you know, you don't take any damage. And here's a couple of details about this block that I missed. I'm clicking right now. You can't place item frames on the Snowier Snow. The same is also true of redstone and redstone components. And the block also can't receive power either. You can see it's not powering the piston. When wearing leather boots, you can essentially turn this thing into a ladder just by holding down spacebar. You go upwards through the Snowier Snow block. There is also a custom death message. Xisuma froze to death. There are also 2 new tag lists related to this block. Powder Snow Walkable Mobs has 3 mobs inside of it. The silverfish, the rabbit, and the endermite. And as you can see, they don't sink into the Snowier Snow. And this is probably because they're the smallest and lightest blocks inside of the game. And I just said blocks. They're the smallest mobs. And next up we have texture changes. And these are not limited to blocks and items within this snapshot cycle. As you can see, the compass and the clock over here have received an overhaul. I kind of noticed it when I was making the video so far, going into the creative menu, seeing the search up the top there, but it is changed, as well as candles, the amethyst, and possibly these crystals as well. So let's do our side-by-side comparison. So I was wrong about the crystals at the bottom. They haven't changed at all. The new amethyst texture is alright, but the budding one I'm really not as keen on compared to last time around. I think the candles look better as a single one instead of two, and the compass and especially the clock look really good. So those are big improvements in my opinion. So be sure to let me know what you thought of those new textures with a comment down below, and if you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with these snapshots. And now guess what we're going to jump into? The dripstone. Okay, look at it. Look at it, it's going all the way to world limit. I don't think there's any limit to how big these things can be. But first of all, an important detail to start off with, you're not going to find this naturally generating anywhere in the Minecraft world. I've flown around for quite some time, and it actually doesn't surprise me. I think at some point or another, once most of the features have been implemented, they will then arrive in the form of world generation. So currently, if you go exploring, you're not going to find any of this stuff in some caves. Well, my friends, it feels like Minecraft might just be changed forever here. The dripstone block and the pointed dripstone allows you to do some interesting things. This is just a quick design I threw together that feels like perhaps a wall to a Jurassic-themed garden or something along those lines. This is a really fascinating block. There is a lot we're going to learn about in this snapshot video. We might not get everything in one go, but I'm going to spend some time poking around with this thing. And I've already learned a bunch of stuff already. Before we go into F3 actually, you can kind of like place this on any block you like and grow it as well, which is kind of cool. Doesn't have to be put on the dripstone itself. And if we press F3 to look at it and look at the right side of the screen, you'll see that it has thickness, vertical direction, and waterlogged. That's right, it can be waterlogged. And its vertical direction is currently up, and its thickness is tip. And then when you grow it, it's frustrum and tip. And then you have a base, frustrum, and tip, and then you get middle, which appears in the middle. So as it goes beyond 4 blocks tall, those other ones become middle. You can see these 2 are middle, and then these 3. So 2 unique blocks at the top and 1 at the bottom. Now these can be placed under and on top of blocks, and when they're facing downwards like this, you'll see that the vertical direction simply says down. You'll also notice there are some particles dripping off of this, and that's because you can use it to farm water inside of a cauldron. Now, I've had no luck. I've been putting the cauldron at this height and down here as well, and I've got nothing going into either of these. I've even turned up the game speed as fast as I can, and when doing that, I also didn't observe any growth. Everything you've seen here has been me placing it. It's not like a plant where it might grow slowly over time. So anyway, you can fill cauldrons with water and lava. Supposedly they will drip from the bottom of the dripstone. The particle effect changes if you've got lava a block above, and on the blog it says that's what you need. You need lava or water above this block for it to fill up a cauldron. I've also tried this at different heights as well, been turning up the random tick speed, but that seems to have no influence, so this is potentially a very rare event. But here's the other thing. If we can fill up cauldrons with lava, then maybe this is a way to have a lava farm. And lava currently isn't renewable. It's something you have to go out and harvest from a lava lake in the overworld, or from the nether, of course. And with this snapshot, we might be able to make lava farms. So as you know, the pointed dripstone can be placed on pretty much any type of block. I tested it on quite a few. And it can also be waterlogged and placed underwater, which looks super cool. It's in no way broken by water either. So if you really want to, you can just, plop that in right there and it's successfully waterlogged. And when it comes to making shapes like this, there is another type of the block called tip merge, and you can see that has both vertical directions, so it can detect when they're going to join together, and then it creates the tip merge, and they unite. It's pretty cool. Now if we are to break the blocks that they are supported by, that's when they come crushing down and all the different parts of it break. When you do it this way, they simply just pop off and actually drop their items. Now, if you've been following the development of this snapshot cycle, you would have seen at Minecon and in some of the tweets from the Mojang devs that these things do damage. And as you can see, falling a small distance did about 8 hearts of damage. And if I go up 1 block higher, this is going to kill me. So here we go, and that is the death of me. Now what I've also been testing is if having a bigger base made any difference at all, but that doesn't seem so, and it kind of makes sense from a technical standpoint, as the block here is the tip, as it is here, so you land technically on the same block every time. And that is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks, and you take 8 hearts of damage, and then 6 blocks and you're kaput. So these things are very powerful. And the same seems to be true with mobs as well. As you can see, it dropped down and died. If we do it from this height right here, go on buddy, it'll survive. So it seems that mobs take the same amount of damage. And there was a lot of speculation about using these for mob farms when we saw hints of it in development. And the thing is, you can pick these up and place them back down again. So what about these blocks when it comes to mining them in survival? I find it kind of interesting that you can just use a wooden pickaxe. You do not need the Silk Touch enchantment, for example. Now currently I have the Haste 2 effect, and I've also got a pick with efficiency 5, and that is how you instant mine this stuff, as you can see. Anything lower than Haste 2 though, and it won't work, and no, I didn't test this with the netherite pick. So in survival Minecraft, you can obtain this, possibly use it for a mob farm. You can see here, this is lower than a full block, and a hopper can pick up anything that's within the full block above it. The problem is you can't put the pointed dripstone on the hopper. So what we're probably going to see is some sort of trick with a hopper down here and a hopper minecart inside of this block. But anyway, there is another way in which we can take damage, and that is when it falls on us. And you saw there, fair bit of damage. If we raise this up by 1 block, you can see that we take more damage again. And once we reach this height, we're basically going to die. And that is 12 blocks in total, although you might not count the first 1 or 2, and then you could factor in the height of the player. That could be like 10 blocks, and it felt to me like as I was going up block by block, it was about each block a height that added up to a heart of damage. So now I'm lowering this thing so that we can do another test. That one did about 4 hearts of damage. And so here is our new test. The thing is, this bit right here is going to fall a lot less distance, right? It kind of looked to me like perhaps each one was doing damage. It is certainly a little tricky to figure out. And yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that. I don't think the damage is stacking, but yeah, you get the idea. So there are lots of questions to be asked of this block. One unique feature that it has is that it can be broken by tridents, which is really cool. I'm going to guess it doesn't work for swords and arrows. This is just a unique feature for this weapon. And there are other questions, like how does it interact with pistons? You can see that it can kind of push off the top one, yet keep the ones below attached. Now you can see here as I place these that it updates the observers. It seems to update the ones above them, and then it will update all of the ones below because of course it's affecting everything that's placed below it. To an extent though, as you can see, the middle block doesn't change all the way down, and then when we pop this off, absolutely everything gets updated because the block updates make their way downwards as well. And so there'll be more to learn about this block, and I'm going to be covering that in next week's snapshot video if we do get one. And now I'd like to talk about last week's snapshot and a couple of things that I missed. First of all, the spyglass has changed, and it's also changed in this snapshot as its block model now appears in the menu instead of the icon. But the change last time around was this texture right here, which I think is quite fitting. This is an improvement. However, I really think it should just stretch the width of the screen. Even though this thing is a square and not a rectangle, you know, we can get creative a little bit here. Also, if you've ever used the structure block, it used to go to the data screen by default. It no longer does that. You can see you can rotate between load corner and save, and if you want to get to data, you've got to hold down Alt, and then that'll take you to the data screen inside of the structure block. And last of all, the lightning rod. I was watching Slice Lime's video, and he explained that the radius of 64 blocks was not in fact a square. I kind of assumed it would be in a square shape like a grid around this thing. It's actually circular from the very point where you put this inside of the world. So now moving on to the bug fixes. When swimming, some animations in the game, for example shooting a bow, looked really strange before this snapshot, and so some consistencies with swimming and animation have been taken care of. There's also this really old bug where if you position yourself inside of lava at certain heights in the world, the lava can disappear, it becomes transparent, you can sort of x-ray look through things. That has been patched in this snapshot. And the rest of the bugs basically relate to things in this snapshot update cycle, so things that aren't really worth going over. However, slabs in the copper recipes have been changed from giving you 4 to 6, which I think is a far better idea. And that, my friends, is pretty much everything worth talking about, so don't forget about that video on my second channel regarding moderation in the Minecraft platform. There'll be a link to it in the description box down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, thank you for your support, and hopefully we'll see you next week with another snapshot video. Bye bye!